Uh, Thank you so much, guys, for joining. So today's session, what we're going to really discuss is about how you can fine tune an open source LLM, right? And I'm not sure how many of you have been in one of my previous sessions, because in the previous sessions, we discussed about the evolution of Gen AI, how it all started and how it got advanced with all the tool calling, RAG architectures, the memory session being bigger and bigger, and how it actually improved. But then it also improved in terms of the intelligence, but it also improved in terms of the model parameters and the weights and things like that. We're going to also discuss that in a bit. So what really changed is, so back in the days, like, 1 or 2 years before, it wasn't really that feasible for us to fine tune a model, right? But now it is possible. With a little bit of compute, you can fine tune a model. But let's take step-by-step approach to really understand what is fine tuning and how it really works and things like that. Um, okay. I'm gonna put up few slides there. I usually don't do slides, but I think for this session, I had to. And we also have Daryl here. Maybe Daryl, I'm going to introduce you in a bit so that once my story is done, I can introduce you and then you can start sharing. I think we have Daryl from Rabobank. He's working as a robotics engineer there, and I think he's going to also share domain-specific modeling and with some nice use case what he has worked with and how he's using that. You can also see a nice OpenClaw. I'm not sure, Daryl, what you call that, but it's really amazing. Your buddy. Yes, there he is. Yes, okay. Um, let's take a few steps back and try to really understand what is fine tuning. But have you any of you been in one of my previous sessions where I also explained about RAG, or is it your really first session today? Can anyone unmute yourself and dare a bit to explain what RAG is based on your understanding? Maybe Breno, I'm not sure, or anyone else. Oh, Daryl, sorry, you wanted to share.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's coming through the headset, so just let me know if it's a little bit less quality. But
No, it's
yeah, I
good.
guess the abbreviation for RAG is retrieval augmented generation. But I guess in one sentence, it's basically augmenting the generated response with a retrieved reference.
Wow, that's very technical, Daryl. But if you have to put it very simple, how do you say that? Maybe Prashanti, I'm not sure you
Yeah.
unmuted yourself. Are you gonna share something? Yeah.
Yes, I'm also very new to AI, but recently I've been going through this RAG. So it's basically like if you want your model to be specific in its answers, like if you want to domain specifically answer the questions, then you will train the LLM using the documents or PDFs or the resource data that is related to that specific domain, so that its answers will be specific and accurate to the question related to any topic. For example, say healthcare, or for example, any legal or any financial questions related like that. I mean, if you want your LLM to be more specific to your domain, then you will train it with those data. That is called RAG.
Oh, you said train it?
Train it. I mean.
Okay, okay. So train it. Okay. I think you're right. You're getting there. But I think with the RAG, we don't usually train it. Maybe let's
Mm-hmm.
see if there is anyone else who would like to give it a try. But I think you are like 70-80% right. But you understood the concepts. But in
Okay.
technical terms, we don't train it. I think that's
Okay.
where the fine tuning comes in. But that's what we're going to discuss here. But RAG is one step behind.
Behind.
Is
Okay.
there,
Uh,
yeah. Is there anyone else?
can you hear me?
Oh, yes, Breno.
It's
Yes.
Brad. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I could understand it,
Yeah.
is RAG is when you give the context to the LLM prior your request. So instead of just giving it plainly like, hey, I don't know, explain to me quantum physics. Just and instead of just doing that, before that, you give a bunch of information to the LLM, how it should respond, what kind of data it has access, what kind of document it should check, what kind of information it has. And whenever you ask about quantum physics, it will check first that source and then give the answer. And if you ask it for the same model with the same input, explain to me how, I don't know, Bitcoin works, it will say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know how it works because I'm not prepared and I don't have the rules to and the knowledge to explain about that. That's what I could understand from RAG. Like you just give a really small context of what your LLM was supposed to do and understand your knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're close. You're close. Yeah, yeah. Anyone else would like to also share a little bit of their understanding on what is RAG? Yeah, there is no right answer or wrong answer, right? I mean, it's just we are all learning here. You and I would like to learn something from you because, I have a different definition and the internet is flooded with lots of definitions. Curious to know what your definition is. Anyone else?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, guys. Yes.
Yeah. I will rub it in one sentence. It's like your friend checking their chat history before replying so they don't make stuff up.
Yeah. Wow. Can I steal that one?
By all means, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty amazing. A very nice and creative definition. Yeah. So you have an user input, right? So you have an LLM model, you have an user input, and then you send a prompt, right? This prompt could be like, hey, give me, uh, the list of recipe which I wanted to make for pizza. But let's say this LLM has not been trained with the pizza recipe. And he says that, oh, I don't know what you're talking about because I was not trained with pizza. So then what you say is like, you attach a document. A simplest could be like, how to make pizza, a document which says the list of instructions to make pizza. And then you send it to LLM along with your user input. Can I call this as a RAG approach? A simplified version of RAG? Because then I'm also sending an user input and also I'm sending an additional information so that the LLM also looks into this user document, and then with my user input, the actual question, it sends back me the response, right? The request and the response. So for example, I have a model open with me here. We will discuss what Unsloth is, but let's say that here I have this Gemma 4 open source model, but let's not get into the details like what this model and stuff like that. So there is this LLM, and then there is this nice chat user interface, and I can ask anything, right? Okay, so what I'm going to ask is, I'm not sure if you know that I also work at the Rabobank. I also see many of my Rabobank colleagues who have joined here as well. So if I try to ask, what are the financial results for 2025 for Rabobank? Right? Because this is a public data. Usually Rabobank publishes this kind of information in their website. You can also search it. And this is an open source model because it has been trained with predefined data sets. Let's see that if this knows what we are talking here. And I also don't want to add web search or code, because if you add web search, which means if it does not know, it's going to search it in the internet. I don't want it to search it in the internet. I really want it to fetch it from its training data, what it has been trained on. Lost connection. Try reloading. Lost connection. Try reloading. Not surprised. Okay, let's try a different one. Again, LM Studio. Let's try to use this question in there. And what is the model here we have? Okay, also Gemma 4. So I'm going to ask it here. Yeah. Okay, reload. Yeah. Okay, so it says that I do not have access to this real time, blah, 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 right? That's what it said. But what if I attach a file to this? Upload a file. I have already downloaded a couple of things. So for example, if I go to downloads, here you can see the annual report of Rabobank, which I downloaded from the internet. And if I attach the document and then I ask the same question, and now it's reading the document along with my user input, right? This is like very simplified mini version of RAG, right? It does not know the context. I think someone mentioned that giving an additional context to the model. I'm not sure whether it is Daryl or Breno, but it's basically like, adding more context to the model, right? I think it's going to read it and then it's going to uh, split it, and based on my user input, like the question, it's going to try to search in this entire PDF document and try to fetch results for me. Okay. And this is how you can also retrieve the data. Okay. But then I think it's going to, yeah, it's basically reading everything. And interesting thing is this is open source model. This is running locally on my laptop. You see now it says that based on my search, these are the results. Pretty good, not bad, right? Then you can tell me, then Vinod, why do we need to fine tune when we already have an option like this? Whenever I want to fetch some data, I would create a RAG based. So usually in production environments, you don't attach PDF files or doc files or things like that, because there could be n number of files, there could be n number of internal policy documents, there could be n number of a huge data set belongs to that organization. And if you want to create a RAG based architectural application, you don't always drag and drop your PDF documents and give me answer. You don't do that, right? Because you want to automate this whole process. So you actually build a RAG based system, with a vector database and maybe graph database with some indexing, so that it also gives a good performance, because it has to go through this entire documents and fetch the response. So that's why you also index them and store them in the vector database. So that's how you usually do as a software engineer. You build these systems. But then the question is, when you already have a RAG approach, why do we want to fine tune a model? Maybe that is a question for you. So I understand that all of you here to understand what is fine tuning, but why do you want to learn about fine tuning? Just for fun, or do you have a use case, or is it like you're curious to know how fine tuning works, or do you have your own definition? Because my question is, when you already have a RAG approach, why do we want to do fine tuning? Yeah, anyone would like to share their perspective? Maybe I see that a few of you also joined a bit late, but I kind of begged or requested if it's possible to turn on your cameras. So if people who have joined a bit later, if it's possible, please turn on your camera so that I know you. Thanks, Murthy. Yeah, so anyone would like to give it a try? Like, why do you think we want to fine tune?
I would say throughput, like, because when you do RAG, the impression that I have is that you have to every time give the information to your LLM before, every time you give them. And with fine tuning, the information would be already there. That's what I think it is. That's why I came into this workshop, to see this difference. Like, fine tuning for me is like, I put the knowledge inside of the model. I don't have to keep giving this context every single time, every request. The model already knows about it.
Mm.
Yeah, also we can reduce the processing time of the model.
Processing
Like
performance.
every time, yeah, performance. I mean, every time a number of users come and ask it questions, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it will reduce the amount of response time
Mm-hmm.
if we fine tune the model.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe also
yeah,
token
yeah.
usage.
Sorry?
The amount of token used during the processing.
Oh, the amount of
As
token usage. Yeah. Oh, wow. I think I'm getting some interesting answers. So maybe I'm going to note them down. So, Breno, you said something before. What did you say?
about the difference from RAG for fine tuning is that you give the model the knowledge what you really need. You don't keep giving the context every single time. So it's
Okay.
mainly to reduce throughput.
Yeah.
So
Not
instead of
every
uploading the documents every time or
yeah.
a vector database connected, you just put that knowledge inside of the brain, let's say,
Yeah.
the head of the LLM.
Okay, so high throughput. And then Prashanti, you mentioned performance, right? To have a good performance, I think it's good to do fine tuning. And again, Brenna, you said token size to reduce token size because yeah, that could also be the reason, right? Because every time if the RAG is like let's say how do you say that 10 gigabytes of database, right? If the RAG is 10 gigabytes of database, and let's say you didn't do a proper indexing and all, and you are asking a question, so which means that sometimes this entire 10 gigabyte of information is also compressed and sent to LLM model, which means then the token size, the token window is also getting bigger and bigger. And then the model tries to fabricate or hallucinate, right? Because too much of context is also not good. Yeah. Any more answers out there? I think we derived 3 points already. Anyone would like to add something to this list? Like, when you already have a RAG approach, why do we want to do fine tuning?
Uh,
Yeah, I think someone started saying something. Who was it?
yeah,
Rohit?
it's me.
Yeah, Rohit, go ahead.
Yes, I was saying like it will give you more appropriate answer because it would be more specific if you have the fine tuning.
Accuracy, right? I think accuracy is the one which you wanted to say. Yeah, that's also good. Yeah, I think because
Yeah.
it's part of the model, so I think we can expect that the accuracy of the output would be better compared to the RAG approach. Yeah, I think. Any more?
Yeah, I think
Also, during fine tuning, sometimes we give like a structure of the answer to the model. Like, say, for example, we wanted the model to answer in a specific way. For example, like
Structure
in
and
a
tone.
structured sentence, yeah, structure and tone. Maybe for
Yeah.
that they can.
Yeah, structure and tone. Yeah, that's also a structure and tone, and maybe the brand or the voice should be part of the company, because every company has a brand, every company has a voice, every company has a tone, and the model should reflect the tone, the voice, the brand of the company. That's why I would like to fine tune the model with the company's data, so that whenever I interact with the model, it speaks my company's language, right? Every company has a culture. I work for Rabobank. Rabobank has its own culture. I know that many of you may be working from different companies or organizations. So your company has a culture, right? Okay, so anything else? Any more?
I tried to define maybe the boundaries and
Guardrails.
guardrails. Yeah.
Yeah, guardrails. Yeah. Biases, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's also a good answer. Yeah. Yeah, because these open source models are trained. For example, Jamafor is trained by which company?
Google.
Google. Yes, Jamafor is trained by Google. Quen is trained by maybe some Chinese company. I'm not sure, Alibaba, I guess, and DeepSeek also another Chinese. So these companies already set some generic guardrails, but I think there was also viral news which happened back in days with Google models that whenever you're asking some questions or generating images, it was being biased, right? With color, with skin tone, and things like that. So because they train this with a specific data, right? These models have been trained with specific data. So the guardrails or the biases come from the model providers, right? So of course, then if you want to fine tune with your own biases, with your own guardrails, that is also possible, and that helps with the fine tuning, right? I also heard someone saying something. Sorry for the interruption. Anything else we can add here in the list?
I think what you just did with the PDF file is baking the knowledge into the model itself. The only difference probably will be that when you're fine tuning, that information can still be lost, whereas with the RAG, it can always retrieve the exact source information, I guess.
So guys, you are basically supporting the RAG. Is that what you're trying to do here, or I didn't get?
Well, basically, you gave the PDF
Yeah.
to the model, right? But if
Yeah.
you fine tune it and you give that information, you bake it into the model itself, then you don't need the RAG anymore.
Oh yeah. But is that a pro or is that a con? Because you mentioned that when you attach a document, it knows and it gives you the right answer, but when it's part of the model, then it hallucinates. Is that what you're saying?
That's the pro and the con, yeah.
Okay.
can, what you say, still hallucinate, but I don't think when you use a RAG, then it can retrieve the exact source information, right?
Sometimes hallucinates. So let's add it. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Every mechanism, every system has both pros and cons. It's up to us to decide and to evaluate which works better for us. It's actually a good thing to bring the list because everyone was trying to say pros. It's good that you thought out of the box and came up with a con. Maybe anything else which we can add to this list. Anyone else?
Fine tuning is expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
I'm going for the cons. I'm the negative guy.
We need people like you guys. Yes, fine tuning is expensive. Yes, I think it's good. Yeah. Anything else?
I would say they're complex, higher complexity than RAG.
Complex? Yeah, complex than RAG. Oh, I think that's interesting. I'm not really sure if it is complex than RAG.
Now I'm thinking if it would be. I don't know how to do, but I'm curious if it would be more complex or not.
Yeah.
Seems more complex, but I don't know.
No, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. I've never seen that from that lens. I mean, now you see, right? When we are having these kind of interactions, everyone has a different view, different lens. Because I have one focus and one lens. I have created my story, but now I hear your stories and your lenses. Now I don't know what to share with you because you are disrupting my focus. And I'm just joking, guys. Come on, let's do it together, right? I want to learn something from you as well. Okay, cons. Sometimes hallucinates. I think it's a pretty good list, right? So I think my perspective is like, why do you want to do RAG? Why do you want to do fine tuning? Totally depends on the business case. Totally depends on the use case. Totally depends on the requirement. Totally depends on the curiosity of the end user. But one thing is important that it is possible to do. And that is what we're trying to also unveil today that, okay, this is possible. Fine tuning is also possible. And we will see how we can do it. There was one use case which I was actually thinking because many corporate big organizations, maybe let's also discuss a few of the use cases because there is one amazing use case which I have in my mind for fine tuning, how I see it's going to disrupt the way we do data engineering workflows, right? I'm going to just quickly define something. Who comes from a data engineering background here, by the way? Do we have people from data engineering background? If you can quickly raise your hands, maybe in the Zoom, who've been working as a data analyst, data engineers. No one? Is it only me? Come on, that field isn't that bad. Okay, so it looks like you're all from software engineering backgrounds. Nice.
Not really. I'm in a scientific field, so.
Oh, you're from scientific field.
Yeah, I'm like working as a researcher.
Oh, I have to be very careful what I say. Like, you see from research lens, right? Don't judge me, okay? Because I try to keep things so simple, but research-oriented minds are always complex. Thank you, Muti, for joining. Okay, so usually what happens is like you have these. I'm gonna think it in the data engineering perspective, data engineering lens. Okay, so you have data platforms. So usually all the big organizations, they all try to capture the data, right? Because why do they want data? For example, like again, for Rabobank, right? It's a corporate organization. We have clients from all over the world. We have corporate clients like small and medium scale organizations who have accounts with the bank, and we also get the data from them. We also have like normal um, you know commercial consumer users as well, like like residential, how do you call them, I don't know. But so you have different types of accounts. You have a business account, you have just a normal account. At the end of the day, every user interaction, every user activity has been logged, has been tracked, has been stored, right? And these data are stored in the form of Parquet, JSON, CSV, we don't know. And to store that, you need to create a data platform, a storage layer, right? So maybe we can call this as a storage layer. This whole thing is a storage layer. And usually what happens is like, you have producers, who would be ingesting the data. You would have consumers who would be consuming the data. Again, these are all internal teams. And if you look at any big organization, this would be the setup, right? You have internal producing teams who get the data from all the source systems, and they use some sort of a ETL mechanism, and then they would ingest the data from here to here, right? And then consumers would consume the data from here to here, right? And this would be daily ingestion. It could be a daily ingestion because every day we are generating data, or it could be a monthly ingestion. There could be different types of ingestions. Right? And this could be CSV, this could be Parquet file format, or this could be JSON. It could be any file format where we can process the data, right? And we might use tools like, ETL approach or ELT approach. Okay. Again, this is the way, like, ETL is nothing but like, you extract, you transform the data, and then you load the data on the platforms. And these could be storage, like, Azure storage accounts, or S3 buckets from AWS, or I'm not sure, is it like a BigQuery from Google, or any sort of a database? It could be also a database as well, right? It could be anything. And this is how we store this data. And we might use some ingestion tools here, like, some ingestion tools, like software tools. We could use some consuming tools here, consuming tools. And this needs to happen every day automatically, right? I don't want an engineer sitting and clicking on a button that, okay, load the data, consume. No, we want to automate this process. And what is that called? We have an orchestrator, like usually an orchestrator. And this orchestrator, there is an open source orchestrator. I'm just going to take some random names like Airflow. I'm not sure any of you heard of that. It's also an open source project which is used to orchestrate the pipelines, data pipelines. Okay. So you can schedule them every day, 9 o'clock in the morning. I want the data to be ingested on the platform. And again, around once the data is ingested, I want to consume them. And what do you think these consumers are going to do with this data? Any guess? You have all the data now. And then what are we going to do with this data? You can just guess, right? I mean, let's say that, you have the data now, all the data of your consumers, like, your users. What would you do with the data?
Analyze the data.
Analyze the data. Yeah, you just analyze them. And like, when you say analyze, what do you see? What kind of analysis you would do?
Yeah, you mean statistical analysis? You mean that? Or yeah.
Stats, like, stats, metrics,
Yeah.
KPIs.
Yes.
I don't know what information you want to do. Or maybe if you're coming from a business background, do we have anyone coming from a business background in the call? Any business background people who have joined the call? Any business background? Because usually people from business background, they would like to know on which areas my sales are high, what is the demographic or geographic location where people are, spending more money, what are which time periods people are spending more money, these kinds of hotspots they would like to know so that they can push more, right? They can push more. It's not only for bank, it could also be for any e-commerce applications, right? Like, for example, Amazon, bol.com, or people from India, like, Flipkart, things like that. They would like to have these kinds of information. So this is all the data, and you have people like, business analysts, data analysts. They're sitting and they're querying the database, and then they try to make some nice fancy dashboards, right? Or they could run some machine learning model to predict what are my sales going to be in next 3 months, what are my sales going to be in next 8 months, am I going to get any profits or not, or how is going to be my accounts profit and loss, all these kinds of analysis. We don't have to get into the details, right? And this approach has been so far all manual, right? This whole process. So there is a big team of group of people who are sitting in the producer side, big group of teams which are sitting on the data platforms, because they also have to make controls, and big group of team members sitting on the consumers. And then they have, like, analysts, let's call them analysts, and group of people sitting here as analysts. Okay. So now, what if I say that this whole workflow, right? A group of 10 to 20 teams, around 150 people working on this whole process every day, optimizing. This whole process can be replaced. I'm just taking a normal use case, right? This is a very typical use case. If this whole process can be replaced with a model, can it be? Right? So what we do, of course, we get some data. We ingest the data, right? This is like a source, maybe everyday sales and everything. And this is yeah, let's call Earth Mission. So Earth Mission is my project. So this is Earth Mission's V2 model or something like that. Let's give it a crazy name, V1.2. So once I have the data from my sales, everything, and every day I'm ingesting this, and every day I'm ingesting this data to my model, and now my model has all the information. And as an analyst, if I want to know what are my sales, can I chat with it? I can, right? Give me last 3 months, metrics. Give me predictions how I'm going to do for next 6 months. Can this do? It can, right? And I can also maintain the versions of this model. Maybe I want to say, like, every day you ingest the data, daily ingestion. So today it's a 1.2, and tomorrow it's going to be 1.3, and day after tomorrow it's going to be 1.4. It can also be incremental way, or you can also keep one snapshot as well. And I'm going to orchestrate this whole process every day. So this is called fine tuning, right? Because I'm taking an open source model and I'm fine tuning it. And then what I'm doing is fine tune, spelling tuning, fine tuning, automating. So we're going to see how we can do fine tune manually once. But if I try to automate this fine tuning every day, every new data comes in, it automatically runs the transformers in the background. We're going to see that in a bit. And then the model is equipped with the latest data. I don't need analysts. I don't need consumers. I don't need anyone building ML models. I don't need platform maintainers. I don't need all these tools. I can save lots of money and I can fire all the people. Can I? I don't want to because I don't have them. But you are understanding in which direction the world is moving, right? I mean, these are the things which are going to come. And trust me, all this setup is also going to change. It's going to be adapted towards how things are moving, especially the data engineering world, right? And this is for my in-house company data. But let's say there are also models which have been trained with all the coding programming information. For example, if you open Cloud or Open AI, right, and try to ask any programming related question, it can answer you because it has been trained with all the GitHub repositories with all the libraries, programming and stuff like that. So that's called the coding model. And if you train a model with all the financial information, that could be a financial model. And if you train with all your data, you as a person, for example, if you train all the data with Daryl's information day in, day out, what he does every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, what time he wakes up, what he does, what he drinks, where he goes for vacations, then it could be Daryl's second brain, his own model, right? And you can preserve it for history, for future. Even if you're gone, the model remains there. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty crazy, right? I mean, the memories are going to stay there forever. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that down the line in 2 years, if I have a robot walking in my house, I'm not surprised. I think things are coming. Okay, I think with that said, let's try to see how we can do this, right? Let's try to see how we can do this. So there are different ways how you can fine tune a model. There are different ways how you can fine tune a model. Maybe before even getting into the details of fine tuning, I would like to ask one more question just to make sure that you're not sleeping. Uh, let's try to list down some of the open source models which you know, right? By the way, this is white canvas and we're trying to paint a nice picture together. I'm going to share this with you all, right? So let's try to paint a bit. Open source models. Okay. So yeah, let's list them down. Okay. So first one, I'm gonna go Gemma. Gemma 4. I don't know what 4 means, but yeah, I extensively use this model. This is again coming from Google. And anyone else? You can also look up in the internet, because I'm not seeing your screen. So if you don't know, you can also look up in the internet and give a name. I
think
expect each one of
Quen
you give me a name. Yeah, Daryl.
Quen 3.6 or 7, or I think it's at.
Yeah, Quen 3.6. Let's go with that. Yeah, and this is from?
I don't know.
Okay, so Quen is from
Let me
Alibaba,
Google
I
it.
guess. Okay, Alibaba.
Yeah.
Fable.
Sorry?
Fable. It just got banned.
So I use my cloud to create slide decks for today's session, but it has written very clearly here, guys. Cloud Fable 5 is currently unavailable. I was one of the unluckiest person to not to use it because I know Daryl. He sent me a message saying that he used Fable because it was only available for a few days, right? 2 or 3 days. And then they stopped it for all the non-US. And I don't know. I think there is a list. Yeah, I'm not sure how many of you were fortunate to use it. Unfortunately, I couldn't use it. I actually thought this weekend to use it, but then they shut it
I
down
bur-
for us.
I burned all my MVP tokens from it.
Okay, so but that's not an open source model, right? Guys, any other list open source models? DeepSeek? NVIDIA Nemotron, I guess. GPT OSS, if I'm not mistaken, from OpenAI. Nemotron is from NVIDIA.
GLM?
GLM. Okay, GLM is from
Z.ai, I think.
Z?
Yeah, that's according to Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. See, I mean, yeah, and this is from OpenAI.
Llama. Llama.
Sorry, Llama.
Llama.
Llama. Llama is from Meta.
Mistral 7.8.
Mistral. Yes, Mistral is from Mistral company, right?
Mistral, yeah.
Yeah, Mistral is from Mistral. I think this is I'm not sure. I think many of you are also from Netherlands or within Europe. So this is Europe's pride. Yeah. And
France.
what else? What else we have? And I think someone said Llama Meta. I think Meta Llama was the first ones to open source an LLM model. I think we should give them a little bit of credit and put them on the top because these guys were the front runners to actually start open sourcing the model. Because to train a model, it takes a lot of compute, a lot of money, a lot of experts, and things like that. And just open source it for everyone, it's not an easy feat. But I think they started the trend, and everyone started following it. Yeah. I think this list can go a little bigger, but I think maybe this is pretty good for us, right? And why do we need an open source model? Because why are we focusing on open source model? Because there are pretty much closed source models as well, right? Closed models. The question is, can we fine tune a closed model? Can we? Can we dissect or dissect? Is that the word? Okay. Can we try to train or fine tune a closed model, for instance, like a Fable? I mean, we don't even have access to that guy. How to fine tune it? It's totally a different story. But let's say like Opus 4.8 or GPT 5.5. These are all
I think you can
famous
fine
models.
tune, but the point is you need to pay for it, right? That's all the thing, and you don't have access to it or not. You have to always use it by connecting them or subscribing. I don't know. I'm very limited in knowledge on this, but just trying and guessing.
No, I think your guess is right. We can fine tune. I mean, there are no restrictions, right? But you have to be part of OpenAI company. You have to be the engineer who is working on these models. or you have to be one of the co-founders of OpenAI who can really get your hands dirty with these models. Because we as a consumers, we don't have access to these closed models because they are hosted in their cloud somewhere. We don't know, either AWS, Azure. So basically, we don't have access to the source code of these closed models, right? The compact, depressed, compressed file of these models. We don't have access, so we cannot fine tune them. You can only fine tune a model where you can download them on your local machine, or you can download them on your cloud where you have access to it. Because these models, we don't have access to them, so we cannot fine tune them unless you are part of the team, or unless you are a billionaire who can call, who is this guy, the OpenAI? I forgot. Sam Altman. Unless you call him and ask him for the credentials that, okay, Sam, give me the credentials for GPT 5.5. I want to download it locally and fine tune it. Unless that, you cannot do that. But technically, it's possible, but practically, it is not. So let's not get into the discussion, because it's really to understand what is possible, what is not possible, right? Okay, so we have these many open source models. Again, every open source model has a different size. We call them parameters, like, a model with some billion parameters, a model with 2 billion parameters, 3 billion parameters. These are all weights or the parameters on which the model has been trained on, right? The bigger the size, with the bigger the data it has been trained on. So if I go to LM Studio, so LM Studio is an application. It's also an open source application. You can check that. But our topic is not about LM Studio today. So you can download and run any local model using LM Studio. You can also do that using Ollama. So these are also the open source frameworks where you can download and run these models. But again, today's topic is not about them, so let's not worry. So for example, in this LM Studio, if you see here, so here, if you click on this option, once you download this, you can have access to this, and then it gives you list of all the models which you can download them locally on your machine, right? So for example, Gemma 4, 12 billion parameters model, right? And it also gives you the description of what this model is used for, on which data this model has been trained for. Okay, so for example, this model, you can also read everything, and it's the size of this model is 7 gigabytes. You can download it, right? You can download it, and you can get all the information as well. And then there are again different versions, and different versions of the model. For example, you see 26 billion parameter model. The size of this model is 15 gigabytes, bigger than the previous one. Because if you look at the parameters, these are 26 billion, the other one was 12 billion. And you see the Nemotron from NVIDIA, this is 26 gigabytes. So which means if you really wanted to have good models with a bigger size, you also need to have a very good compute on your local machine, right? So if you look at my compute, think about this Mac. So I have got 48 gigabytes of memory, and more info. Can I get more info somewhere? System report. And if you look at this one, I have 18 core processors, right? So, but even with that, I have limitations, right? I cannot directly go and download 26 gigabytes of model and run it. My system will hang up. I mean, my system won't, it will cry. I want to use my lap. I don't want to trouble it, right? So I can experiment with the smaller models, not the bigger ones. But what I'm basically trying to tell you here is it's possible. You can go through the list of all of this, and you can see which model suits for you based on your needs, right? Yeah, this is a very big list. Yeah, someone said Mistral. You also have Mistral here, right? One with 7 billion parameters, one with 22 billion. You can see it's 13 gigabytes. And the Quen. IBM also has a model, Granite. For the first time, I'm seeing this. So IBM is also in the race. Okay, Microsoft has a Phi 4. Okay, but I think we don't have to get into all the details, but it's good to know for you that, these are companies who are also investing and also open sourcing these models with different parameters and sizes. And there is also one other thing which I also wanted to share with you is the Hugging Face.
Vinod, before going to that one, can I ask a question here?
Yes.
You mentioned, okay, of course, LM Studio is not part of this session, but
yeah.
you have to download all of them to put in the LLM Studio, or if you just load the LLM Studio, you have all of the free models available?
No. You download the LM Studio, you'll only get the user interface which I'm showing you. This is just the
Okay.
user interface. This is just the
I see.
UI. Yeah?
Okay.
If I click here, this is all the metadata. I don't have these models. I have to click on download, then the model gets
I see.
downloaded from
Okay.
the
I
repository,
see.
from the
Yeah.
internet.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So LM Studio will only give you just metadata. It will only give you the metadata, the list of this. Yeah. Okay.
Since you know that they're available.
You know that they are available. Yeah. The moment if Google releases a new model, it will also pop up here in the list.
Yeah, that's great, because then you know that it's there. Yeah. Okay.
But
And why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So why do you have so many models? So of course, I know big models like ChatGPT and Grok or whatever. They have certain specialities but why so many small models are being created even by companies like IBM? Do they ever think that they can compete with ChatGPT or something like that, or do they have specific purpose?
Yeah, you're asking a difficult question, or you're asking a question to the wrong person. I don't know why IBM created that model, honestly speaking. I mean,
Yeah.
do we have someone from IBM in the call?
It's not necessarily IBM, but I mean, even for Google or whatever other companies that they're creating, why? It's a generic question. So why so many models? So they're specific to the problem, or are they just trying in the race and trying to create, models?
Okay, so let me
I
ask.
guess that is for them.
Yeah. Who was saying
Yeah,
something?
Rajendra.
Rajendra. Yes, Rajendra. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think it's just for promoting their brands.
Yeah, I think that is true.
Interesting to know, because yeah.
But Murthy, let me ask you a question. So, for example, Fable 5. Are you aware about Fable 5?
No, I've never used it. I heard about it, but I just heard,
Okay,
really.
so let's say here you can see, right? So here,
Yeah.
for example, if I click on more models, here you see these are all the models which are available, but Fable 5 is not available. You see this, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not available for us, but this is available for Anthropic employees.
Yeah.
So which means they have the control on this model. If tomorrow Anthropic decides to disable all these models,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So then users need to have an alternative option. So then Google says that, okay, Anthropic, let them go, use our models. Let's say Google and Anthropic decides to close all the models. Maybe OpenAI comes and says that use our model. So it's like one is competition, of course. The other one is control, because nowadays these models are all available for free, but moving forward, they're going to become more and more expensive because no one is making any profit there. Everyone is burning cash right now. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, everyone is burning cash right now. At some point, there will be a switch. At some point, they will increase the prices. And there, the one who wins is the one who comes with a proper business model, with a proper, token definer. So one thing is that. The other thing is like every model has small limitation, a small gap. And the other company is trying to fill that small gap, saying that, okay, this model does not do security related things. And that's how the mythos or fable came up, right? So they said that all the models which you have out there, they can work very good with programming, they can write very good code, and they are really good with all the general tasks, but they are not good with cyber security, they are not good with finding vulnerabilities, they are not good with security related things. And that's why we are launching a new model called fable, that's why we are launching a new model called mythos. I'm not sure if you're aware with all this news which was happening in the Anthropic and model world. And then they started saying that, okay, our models are specialized for finding vulnerabilities. And they are true. And the moment they released that, the US government started flagging them, saying that, okay, these models are too powerful. They're trying to find loopholes even in our organization, even in the government institutes. We want you to disable them. We don't want hackers to we don't want to have a public access to these state of the art technology where anyone can just write a prompt saying that, okay, hack I don't want to use my company's name, but for example, hack Artemission or hack Databag or hack any other company, and it immediately goes to their websites, tries to find login details, tries to find some sort of vulnerability gaps, and gives you the password or gives you the backdoor, because that model has been trained with all that sort of information. So this is just an example why new models are coming up. This is also an example why more models are out there. There could also be that institutional information is also there, because if you look at IBM has been there from very long time, right? These people have done so many projects, they've worked with so much of clients and things like that. When they come up with a model, they also feed the model with all this data. So it's also very tricky because this model list is also growing bigger and bigger. We don't know which model is for what, but there are also benchmarks which you can look up in the internet. You can look up in the internet to see which model is better for what. But it's actually a good question. It's actually a good question. Why don't we have one model, right, Murthy? Why do we have hundreds of models? But you can also ask that why do we have so many companies doing the same
No,
thing?
that's all fine. I just wanted to understand if this is a similar thing. Is it a competition thing,
Competition.
or is it because it looks like some are really small and somewhere you don't even heard the names, and
Yeah.
some are very popular like GPT and other things. So I just wanted to understand the difference. Yeah. Thanks.
No, that's a good question. Okay, that's amazing.
Look,
Again, looking at the time, we have to move also because we haven't really got into the concept of fine tuning yet. We are just trying to build a story here and there.
Vinod, can I quickly ask a follow-up question?
Oh yes, if
Yeah,
it is only easy one, guys.
it's probably going to be an easy one, hopefully. So you were talking about tokenization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the open source models. With token pricing becoming now a major cost driver, right? When does it make sense to stop paying per token and start hosting your own models on like Azure or other cloud infrastructure?
I think people are actually we are in a very big transition phase from experimenting to actually productionizing. I already see very big companies doing it. I mean, I think the experimentation phase is already gone. Like people are really productionizing things, right? And especially with this, sovereignty, people are a bit hesitant to use Quen and DeepSeek. Do you know why is that with Quen and DeepSeek, guys?
China?
Yeah.
From China?
Yeah, because DeepSeek and Quen are from China, and people are a bit hesitant, even though they are closed open source models. Especially the European big companies are hesitant to use them with their data. They're not comfortable in trusting these things. It could change. It could change. We don't know when. And I keep hearing that from management most of the time when I ask that why are we not doing open source. And then for Gemma and GPT OSS is very small one, so let's not even talk about that. But Gemma 4 is really doing good. But this development has happened very recently. I would say the Gemma 4 development has happened very recently, like I would say a month or month and a half when they have released this model, and which is really doing good in terms of benchmarks. I think I would say this is the right time to switch if you ask for the timing, because you yourself mentioned that you just burned all your tokens maybe with one or two prompt with the cloud, because you know that even I experienced that, like, with one or two features, if I ask it to develop, it runs out of the tokens and I have to wait for another 5 hours. But if you look at this one, I can literally run it, and not this one. I think let me open Olama. So you can also see that my Olama is also similar to LM Studio. You can also download it. It's also a free framework, but you can also download all the models from here. So where it says cloud, these are all from cloud, but you can also launch them, different models. But what I really wanted to show is not this. Again, we are distracting a little bit, but I really wanted to answer your question. So what I use day in, day out is the Pi coding agent. I've installed it. If you just type Pi, you get it. But here you can see I have a 128K, which is by default the model which I've downloaded, Gemma 4. So Pi is again a coding agent, which I feed my entire repository to it, and I basically try to develop applications using a Pi agent. This totally runs in my local machine. Pi itself is a competitor for Codex or Cloud Code, but this is an open source project. It's also really interesting. Yeah. So we are actually moving from coding agents to custom agents nowadays. Right. I think the use cases are also moving from coding agents to custom agents. But if you ask when we have to, I would say we should start doing it now, today, or this week.
Yeah. You probably expect like a hybrid model where companies use hosted LLMs for advanced reasoning, for example, and then use self-hosted open source just for the high volume of developers that are out there.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel very sad and I feel very bad as well to use Opus 4.8 for creating slides. I mean, like, this is state of the art model, the latest model which is available there, which can do magic. But I'm using it to create slides. Can you imagine? I'm burning my tokens for creating slides. You see, and this is the thing which is also going to change, like you mentioned, like, all these frontier models would be used for complex tasks, and for all these easy day-to-day mundane tasks an open source model can do. I can literally create these things using my open source model locally. But I'm a bit lazy as well, so I just thought, like, but I think this will be a big shift as well. That's a good point, guys. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, I think talking about Hugging Face, right? How many of you know what Hugging Face is? Shall I call out names, because I see there are only few people who are being very active and engaged, if that is okay. Vasudev Rao, I'm not sure if you're if you're still there with us following.
Yes, Vinod, I am following.
Okay. Are you familiar with what Hugging Face is? I mean, there is no right answer or wrong answer, huh? It's
Yeah, I am familiar with it. It will provide the open source models available for the um, people where we can find the open source models.
yeah.
We can download from there.
Yes. Yeah. You
Hmm.
see, I think you can create an account. You're right, Vasudev. Thank you so much. Maybe one more name. Yeah, I love doing this, guys. Whose name should we pick? Vinayak, are you there?
Yeah, I'm also in the call.
Yes.
I heard the Hugging Face name, but I'm not quite sure what it does.
Okay. No worries. So, it's a pretty straightforward. You can just go to huggingface.co and then create an account. It's completely free, because it also has pricing. It also has enterprise version, but let's only focus on the free one. So what you can do here is, if you click on models, right, you get the list of all the models here, a very big list, right? I mean, this is also similar to what we've seen with LM Studio, what we've seen with Olama. Okay. And then if you click on data sets, we also get a big list of all the data sets. What does this mean? This is interesting, right? And then you have a spaces, buckets, but let's not worry about that. Let's focus on models and data sets. So, GitHub repository, right? Where people make applications, and if they want to open source, or if they want to, like, version their software, they usually um, publish their code base to the GitHub repository. So Hugging Face is similar to GitHub, but this basically does the hosting for models and datasets. Make sense? It's a GitHub for models and datasets. That's how you can. So then, okay. So we know then I'm going to fine tune a model. Okay. So we're going to of course, we're going to do it together. We're going to fine tune a model. And then I want also it to publish somewhere, so that my friend or my community can also use and download that model. Where can I publish it? Yeah, maybe.
Within the Hugging Face.
Yes. I was actually about to ask someone else, but thank you so much Vasudev, for that proactive answer. Yes. So you can actually publish them in the Hugging Face, right? So and that is also the reason why you see a big list of models here. You can already see the 100 pages, and you can see Unsloth, you can see ideogram. So which means these are all the models, people who have fine tuned with their own data for a different use cases, and they've published them here. So us together in the call, before we even start doing a fine tuning, even for your own use cases, before even you start doing fine tuning, going through all the hassle, burning your compute, and destroying the environment out there with all the carbon footprint, because using and fine tuning a model also creates a lot of emissions and things like that, right? So before doing that, what I would highly recommend is go to Hugging Face and search with the keywords which you are looking for. And if you think there is already a model which has been fine tuned with your use case, download it. You don't have to fine tune it. You don't have to reinvent all the time, right? If there is something which you can think it's good, do it. There is a big list. So that is one thing. And you can find them under models. And the other thing is data sets. So let's say, Vinod, I want to fine tune on financial data, but I don't have any data. You can find them here, right? I don't know. Someone uploaded saying that agent's last exam. I have no clue what that means. But yeah, I think people out there are really, building things. So this has everything. Yeah, this also has a big list of all the data sets. So for example, you see, it's like, is it 1 million, Daryl? I'm really bad with numbers.
Yeah, looks like 1 million.
Okay, so you have a list of all 1 million records here, and if you look at models, it looks like the the models are more than the data sets. Huh? I think this is close to 3 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, so if you look at data sets, right? I mean, let's try to search financial data. You can get all the financial data, right? I'm not sure, are there anyone here coming from a finance background? You can get all the financial data. And then if I try with code, you can all get coding related data, right? All the coding context, all the Python security code data set. You get all this. You can also see how many downloads it has been done, like, how many stars. It's all similar. Are there any things which we can search here? Any interesting keywords? Maybe Revati? I don't know.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, any
Yeah, any keywords which you want me to search here?
educational models, something like.
Education. Are you from education background, Revati?
No.
No. Okay. So education. Okay. So I think you can see education data. Yeah, it's all there. And maybe let's try to open Nathan Drake. I don't want to open that. I really want to see if there are like some good. Okay, 4.3 million, 42. Yeah, what is this? Yeah, you can literally see, how this data set looks like, and yeah, the the SHA string, and all that, and the data studio, and you can also check. Okay, let me go back, and you can also see the files and versions and things like that. Yeah, and you can of course use this data, and Hugging Face also has a big community, right? And people from this community also try to contribute, and you can also use this data set using different libraries in your code, and you can also see a little bit of metadata information and things like that. Okay, so with that said, this is how you can also download a model before starting a fine tuning, and you can download the. Yes, Rajendra.
అది కాదు అది నాకు తెలుసు. సో మామూలు అది నిన్న అక్కడ మిస్ అయిపోయింది
Rajendra, I
చర్చిలో.
think you have to. I'm going to put you on mute. Oh, Asha, you are the host. Can you make? Okay, perfect. No worries. Yeah. So what we were saying that yeah, you can download the model from here. You can download the data sets from here and use them for fine tuning. Maybe this is the best time to take like 2 or 3 minutes break, stretch your legs, grab water because I've been talking constantly from last 1 hour. I need to hydrate myself, and also grab a bit of a coffee. And then in the second phase, the next 30 minutes, we're going to really see how we can fine tune. And then the last 15 minutes, we're going to give the floor to Daryl, where he can also share his use case, what he's been working from last couple of days. I think it's going to be pretty interesting because he does a crypto trading, and he does also some stock training, and he has built some agents which does that for him. And I think pretty soon he's going to be a millionaire, Daryl, with all your agents trading for you. No? But he's going to
No
share us the
financial
secret
advice, right?
recipe.
No
Okay.
financial advice.
Yeah, also or could be financial advisor. Yeah, who knows? Okay, so let's take a 2 to 3 minutes break, and let's meet in like yeah 3:13 or something like that. Yeah, 3 minutes break. Okay. Yeah. Hey, hi everyone again. Hope everyone is back. Yeah, I think can we get started? Hope everyone is back. So I think now we're going to really. Am I audible, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bruno. Yeah. So let's see how we can really fine tune, right? I think there are a couple of slides. I'm not really sure if they are any interesting, of course. Okay, so why fine-tune model? Again, we discussed all this, right? Wise and style, domain expertise. I think whatever we have written in the list, I think these are pretty much even Cloud Opus 4.8 also gave me the same list of slides, so which is interesting. We also discussed a little bit of a token and context window. Okay, so so to fine tune a model, there are a couple of ways, and one of the open source way of fine tuning a model is using Unsloth. Yeah. So if you search for Unsloth AI, I think you would land up somewhere here. Maybe not docs. Yeah. So this is again an open source project. You can see there are already 66K GitHub stars, which means this is pretty popular in the world of fine tuning. And this was developed by engineers. And I think there is somewhere about me section who are part of NVIDIA organization about. Uh, yeah, Daniel Han and Michael Han, but they have open sourced this application. So if you look at Unsloth, it's easily run and train models locally, right? And you don't have to be a programmer or you don't have to be an engineer to use this. So the user interface is pretty nice, pretty straightforward. And then you can just choose the model, you can choose the data set, and then you can start the training and it does all the magic in the background, yeah, which we're going to see. So how to start using this? If you click on docs, then if you scroll down a little bit on the first page, because even I don't like to read all the documentation because it's too much, and nowadays what I just do is like, give the link of this to my agent and then ask the summary and what are the important things which I need to focus. But if you're interested and if you're bored of things, you can sit and go through this entire documentation. You have homepage, models, and everything, and then you can also see all the models which we discussed and things like that. Okay, but what is more important? So if you're using Mac, you can copy this command. If you're using Windows, you can copy this command. It's very straightforward. Copy it and run it in your terminal. And I think I already have it running. Okay, this is Pi. We don't want this. Yeah, this one. So I already ran it and it want to show it. Yeah. So if I run this command and it starts doing the Unsloth Studio installer, and then it recognizes what my system is, and then it basically does all the installation. Okay. You can also do it in any VM. Let's say you don't have a very good configuration of your local machine, but you say you have an Azure account. You can also run it there as well, so that you can also run your company data and fine tune them. Okay. And once you run it, I think you should be able to see something like this. Okay, I think I need to restart this one. I'm gonna kill this, terminate. Okay, this is gone. And if I search for Unsloth Studio, because it's already installed, and then it's going to say that it's going to run. Yeah. Hello world. I'm gonna select a model here. In this case, I'm gonna select the Gemma 4. Again, this also does similar things like LM Studio, Olama, where you can also install or download a model, right? Because that is an additional feature they have given to this. And then you can also fine tune it. Okay, so now it responds, and the model which we are using is Gemma 4. And okay, so things are pretty good. And we can skip all these options. These are not that interesting. But what is more interesting is this train part, right? Training section. So here, there are a couple of options where you can start doing training. think it's loading. Yeah. So if you click on train, then there is a new screen which pops up, and this is where we're going to train the model. But to train the model, you need the data, right? You need the data which you can use for training the model. And this data needs to be in certain form or format which you can train it. So that is where we use recipes. I have already did data recipe, but if you click on recipe, so here what you can do is, so for any LLM model, to fine tune the model, the data needs to be in a predefined format. You cannot just give a PDF document, or you cannot just give a text file. You cannot just give a CSV file and ask it to fine tune yourself. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Because the data has been fine tuned has been trained in such a way. If you want to add and fine tune to top of it, it needs to be in certain format. Okay, so it can be in the form of a Q&A. It can be in the form of a multiple Q&A or a single Q&A. There are multiple options you can select. But one thing is very important to keep in mind, that when you are training a model, the data, the training data should be in a predefined format. So usually what we do is, let's say you have data coming from SQL, or you have data coming from, let's say you want to do GitHub data. Like you want to, let's say there is a new programming language out there in the market, and you want to fine tune your model with that language so that you can use it. Let's say in your company, you have developed your own programming language and you want to fine tune the model with your own programming language. Then you can also use a GitHub crawler. These are few of the options, right? But let's say you have all the PDF documents, and then you want to use those PDF documents to fine tune the model. Then you can use this option. Okay. So these are just the examples, but you can also explore them by yourself. So let's say you start with this. So always you start with the data setup. You need to first prepare your data before going to the training model. Okay. So here to prepare the data, you also need to use an LLM model, right? Because first you use a model and you give the data, and then that model will convert the data into Q&A format, which we're going to see. So here I'm going to use my local model, any local model, and then I'm going to use my, you remember, right? LM Studio, there is Gemma 4 model running. So I've used local model. You can also use here external endpoint, which means you can also use here OpenAI or cloud. You can also use local. Okay. So let's use local for now. I don't want to burn any of the tokens anymore. And once that is configured, it's very straightforward. So the user interface is very straightforward. There is nothing much for us to do. Configure the provider, configure the model here. And the LLM structure, for now we can skip it. But if you can look into this, you can also change how you want to have the field name, the model preset, and the response format. These are some extra things which you can configure. For now, we're going to leave it as default. And what is more important is you need to upload the document file. Okay, so this is where you upload a PDF file and then ask it to set the data in the form which we need. Okay, here we're going to configure. So let's say we're going to take the annual report of 2025, which is 17 megabytes. No, let's do the interim report 2025, which is 6 megabytes. I'm going to take this one, and now it's trying to load it, which is 6 megabytes. Okay, I think it should be loading. Usually, yeah, it's there. And now if you click on preview, you can see that the PDF doc, maybe let me show you the PDF document, how it looks. Yeah. So if you go to downloads, I think it's an interim report. So this is how it looks. This is the interim report of Rabobank for 2025. You can of course download this from the internet. Okay. So this is a PDF document. It has all the contents and everything. And let's say my Gemma 4 model has not been trained with this data. So what I'm doing is I'm fine tuning the model with this data so that when I ask something, it responds back with the information, right? Like, the results and things like that. Okay. So this is the thing which I've attached. And if you look at the preview, the Unsloth Studio has chunked the text in plain English, right? Because it was a PDF document with lots of visuals and everything, but then it has broken them down into different sections, right? This is just a preview. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to click on done. So now we have done the configuration. 3 steps, provider, the model, and the document. And here what I'm going to do is if you click on check, okay, I think this is...
One question, Vinay.
Yes.
Yeah, when you selected a model in the configuration, does this Onslaught somehow know which one is already present in your local, or you have to be careful to select the one which you already have?
No, I think the moment you click here local model, right? Because here nothing, you just click on local model, and then here in the drop down, it already knows, because if you see LM Studio, it looks at my this folder, users, we know the LM Studio, blah blah, this folder, and it automatically recognizes that it has installed my computer has LM Studio installed, my computer has Olama installed. So it automatically recognized and it gave me this list here.
Yeah.
So you can
Okay.
just select it. You don't have to, because it has a little bit of intelligence by itself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one more question, Vinod. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt.
Yeah.
So as you said, we need to give the data in a specific format, right? So there are a lot of a number of models there. So how can we know the model? I mean, data model that is expected by the LLM.
No, we don't have to give the data in a specific model. Maybe maybe it was confusing, I guess. So what I mentioned is the data needs to be, the data needs to be set in a specific format, and to do that we use this recipes option.
Mm-hmm.
So this application will do that for us, because if you looked at the PDF document which I shared, this one,
Mm-hmm.
where is this download documents? Not this one. Yeah. So for example, this report, if you look at this report, this is in a PDF format, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking out loud, can you think if I give this PDF document in the fine tuning process, it will work? It will not work today, because this
Mm-hmm.
PDF format, the fine tuning, the whole fine tuning LoRa process, it will not understand. It needs to be in a certain format.
Mm-hmm.
And here, using this recipes tab and this recipes feature, we are trying to convert the PDF into that specific format. That's called a Q&A format.
Okay.
We are trying to do that. So it could be anything. It could be CSV, it could be PDF, it could be JSON. You take any of the model and you configure it, and then this will convert it into the Q&A format. It will basically chunk the text. You can see that, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
LLM, it will chunk the text, and that chunked text is used for fine tuning. The
Okay.
data needs to be in the chunked text format.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I understood now.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. I think
Okay.
it needs to be converted to the vectors or embeddings model.
Yes, yes. I didn't want it to use the vector or embedding, because I think it creates confusing, but you are right. It needs to be in that format, like the embedding vector format, so that the LLM model can understand, right? Because if you want to interact with Python, it has to be in the Python language, right? It's same as that. The model needs to understand the data format.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
now I have encountered an internal server issue, and whenever I try to do these demos, it's always tricky. I mean, these things that they don't work. So let's try to do something else. I'm gonna.
It's the curse of the live demo,
Is it Daryl speaking?
Yeah, yeah.
Next one is yours, right?
Yeah, so I'm already nervous.
I know. Okay. So quickly, I'm gonna hand it over to you, so that let's see how is your curse going there with the demo. But you're right. You're right. I'm gonna quickly install again. So again, guys, very important to note, there is no official support. If something goes wrong, it goes wrong, because Unsloth is open source, right? So if you look at this application also, somewhere it's no. Okay, I'm gonna show you first. Let me do the installation again. Okay, it's running. It's gonna take a couple of seconds, but once the installation is done, you can see that when it's very small letters, it says it's beta. Beta means it's still, it's not fully developed. It's still in the beta version where people are trying out and things like that. So if you want to use this for fine tuning the models, it's on your own risk, right? Because this is open source. But what you can do is, using Opus 4.8 or something, you can build your own Unsloth version of fine tuning framework and then use it. So anything is possible. Launch. Okay, it should launch now. Okay, it's basically killed some orphan servers, LLM server processes. I think it's going to install again. Yeah, I think it should be running now. Let's see. Okay, you see here beta, right? So yeah, I think it also still has a few issues, but I think the team is really working in the background to really fix them because I see the updates coming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the model is configured this, and if I click on check, okay, now you can see that. And here, okay, it's loading the model. Okay, perfect. So this is, you can give the name. Okay, you can also do a test run with just 5 records, and then you can see it. If you have a very low configuration, then it runs the test, and then you can see the output. But if you click on a full run, you can give the name of this data set, like I'll say it's a financial report, and then you can give the records. But for now, for testing purpose, let's only make it 50 so that it creates 50 rows from that PDF document, so that we have it quickly running for us. Okay, so now the run is in progress. Now you can see what is happening, right? I think we are feeding an LLM model with a PDF document, and that model is basically chunking the PDF document. So using an AI to fine tune an AI. Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe a quick question, if I may.
Yeah.
So just wanted to check. Let's say if you have a very well structured data from, I don't know, from research background, right? So
You
you
don't
have
have
an
to, you
Excel
don't have
sheet.
to do this.
So then you can directly upload, or then
Yes.
you have to select a separate one for other than the PDF when you showed the screen of selecting some.
No, if you think the data is already chunked and in the format of Q&A, vectorized format, you don't even have to do this step. You can skip this step.
Okay, and then directly upload. What do you have to do then?
Train. We will see the next step. Once the data
I
is
see, I
ready,
see.
then we will get into the training, actually fine
I see.
tuning part. You can directly do the fine tuning. So what
Okay.
we are doing here is kind of a data engineering task, right? But you can use a different way of doing it. Here we are using an LLM model to chunk the data, but you can basically create this data set in this format by n number of ways.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can already see that this is running, and you can see overview. Yeah, you see that it created a 50 rows, duration, profiling, and it does a chunking text, source file, right? Some of the information. You can also see the terminal output, what it did, and things like that. And then if you click on columns, this has been created like this. If you click on raw, you can also see some information here. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is, yeah, if you click on data, you can also see a little bit of sample data set like this. It has chunked the data. Stefan and chairman of managing board. So it has chunked the data. Okay. So this data set, can I publish it to Hugging Face? I can, right? Click on publish to Hugging Face. Then this data set is published here, and then people can search it and use it if they want to. Okay, you can directly do that. So now we have the data set, and it's called Rabo Financial Report completed, 50 rows. Okay, the time is 3:31, which we did just now. Now let's do the fine tuning. If I click on train, fingers crossed, come. Okay, there it is. So what I can do is I can start fine tuning using my local models or using a model which is hosted in Hugging Face. So that is also possible. Let's say that there is already a model in Hugging Face, and I want to use that model. And then what it does is basically downloads the model from Hugging Face, downloads the data set from Hugging Face, and it fine tunes. Okay, let's see it step by step. First thing, do we want to do it with local model or Hugging Face model? Local model. So I'm going to select my local model, which is Gemma 4. Clear. I don't want to do Hugging Face. I'm going to leave it as is. And there are different methods. Okay. So these are also pretty straightforward. QLoRA, LoRA. QLoRA is a 4-bit. LoRA is a 16-bit. Yeah, this is the definition. If I get into the details, I think it will take some time. But what is more important to know is LoRa freezes the pre-trained model weights, and QLoRA further compresses the base model to 4-bit precision. So LoRa does it in 16-bit precision. QLoRA does it to 4-bit precision. So basically what it does is it freezes the model. So make sense? Or is there like any simpler definition someone would like to say? So let's say that the model has been freezed with that version, and now we are trying to fine tune to that version. Yeah? Confusing? But what is more important to know is there are only two ways. One is QLoRA and the other one is LoRA. 4-bit, 16-bit. 16-bit, if you have a very good compute, use 16-bit because it needs more compute. But 4-bit because it compresses and makes it into a very compressed format of the model output. So we're going to use it 4-bit. You can also read the definition, what it said. But these LoRa or QLoRA, LoRa, QLoRA. So these things are actually coming from a traditional machine learning classification models, where they use different set of transformers in the backend to do this fine tuning process. Yeah. And let's say if I want to use Hugging Face, then I would put the token here. But in this case, I'm not using it. So I'm going to leave it as is. And again, now we're talking about data set. So now we have chosen the model because now I want to fine tune the Gemma 4 model. And now I want to use the data set to fine tune the model. Either you can get it from Hugging Face, you can get it from local. So in this case, we're going to get it from local, right? If I select recipe Rabo financial report 3, we're going to use that 50 rows. And this is when we updated, right? And then here a few of the parameters which you can change. Like for example, context length, you already know you can change the context length, but let's keep it as is. And epochs, learning rate, LoRa settings, we don't want to change them. Let's use by default for now. And then you just click on start training. Okay. Here we want to map the dataset columns. Just click on this AI assist. What it basically does is it does different Q&A mapping. You can see that in a second. So the moment I click on AI mapping, you see this recipe Rabo financial report has been stored in the form of Parquet files, right? You remember this report was in a PDF file, but now when we did the recipe, when we did the training chunking, it converted it into Parquet. So now it's in the form of Parquet file. You can also see this. So where is this? Unsloth Studio Assets, Datasets, Recipes. If I go there, okay. I think command in Mac to enable hidden folders. Command shift period. I always forget that. If I click on Vinod here, command shift period. Oh, there it is. Okay, so now we have all the hidden folders, and here you go to Unsloth. Yeah, and then where do we see that? Unsloth Studio Assets. Studio Assets, Datasets, Recipes, and Rabo Financial Report 3. This one. So here you can see the PDF data has been converted into Parquet data, right? So this is how the data has been chunked. So this is what we are using now to do the fine tuning. Okay. So once you do the AI mapping, it automatically does the chunking. You can see here, system, you are an information extract. This is a system prompt, and then it's a chunk text, and this is the source, and this is the LLM structure, how it needs to respond back. Automatically, it mapped everything for us. We don't have to do it manually. Okay. So once this is done, click on continue. And now it is running. Okay. So it basically takes 22 gigabytes for prepare. Basically, now it's fine tuning the model. I think this is going to take some time, but I want to use a smaller model. I want to cancel the training. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Quen maybe, and let's do the start training part. Okay, this is 1.13 gigabytes only. The only thing which I did was I changed the model because that was taking 22 gigabytes. I wanted to use a smaller model. So that's it, guys. I think once you click on training, it basically starts a fine tuning. And once it is done, it is available here for us. Okay. So it basically goes through 30 steps, right? And here you can see the training loss, the gradient norm, and the learning rate and things like that. Now it's running live, the fine tuning process. So then you can ask, what is training loss, what is gradient norm, what is learning rate. I have slides for that. We can quickly go through them just to understand. But what is more important is you can see my VRAM, my utilization, my temperature, and the consumption. I can also show you my terminal as well. You can see that the logs which are happening in the backend, these are the logs, because it's basically adjusting the different parameters and weights to the model. And the method which we choose was QLoRA, right? And the model was Unsloth Qwen3.
So one quick question here, Vinod.
Yes.
Like, is the training, I mean, when you change the model, right?
Yeah.
Then that particular model is being downloaded into your system and then it is getting trained.
Correct.
But the studio that you show there is like the thing, I mean, training that is going on in your system, right?
Correct. But I didn't use the studio model because the studio model was a bigger in size. So what I did was I changed it to Qwen3, because like I mentioned, you can also download models from Unsloth as well. The moment you select the model, it automatically downloads it for the first time. But if you're reusing the same model again and again, it's already downloaded because I already downloaded the model. So it used from my local machine, Qwen3 model.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope like once the model gets trained, right? So if you want your team to use it, or if you want to restrict the number of people who use it, so how do you publish it? I mean,
Yeah. You're asking the next question
next
already.
step. Okay,
We're
fine.
going to see that. Yeah, we're going to see that. Okay, so I think the training is complete. I think it was pretty quick, right? It was pretty quick. It basically took like what, 59 seconds to fine tune a model, and you can see how this behaved. If you're coming from machine learning background, you would know what this mean, what is learning rate mean, what is training loss mean, things like that. And you can also check the history. You can also check. I've trained all these things. This is my history. But here, what you can do is you can compare in chat. Yeah. If I click here, now it basically gives me two views. One, the base model, the other one is fine-tuned model. So let's see what it does. Okay. So here you can see the base model. Here you can see the fine-tuned model. Okay. So same prompt, different views, just to compare the results, whether this worked as we expected or not. Let's do hello world. Okay. No, that's big. Okay, so the base model just said, hello, how can I assist you? But the fine-tuned model said, hello world, hello world. Yeah. So what do we want? Give us summary of Rabobank interim results 2025. Because that's the data set which we gave to train, right? Or fine tune. Let's not call them train, but fine tune. Let's see what it does. Okay. Here it said, hello, what are you asking? If it's Rabobank interim, I would need more details, blah, blah. Here it says, I don't have access to specific details to this. Share the fine-tuned data. How do we ask this? For general information about financial results, I can guide you how to find them. Okay, let's do financial results of okay, it says I don't have access. The other one also says I don't have access. So what do you think went wrong? Because we fine-tuned, right? I mean, we created that.
Yeah, I think it's you only selected 50 rows. Probably there was not enough data that it can answer you.
You spoke like a researcher, Murthy. That could be also the reason, because when you're fine-tuning, you have to really give more data, right? I just gave like 50 rows. That could be the reason. Yeah, that could be the reason. Yeah. But I could have also given it more rows and more examples, but then we couldn't complete that in this session. Then I have to let it run for hours, because for generating more and more and more and more examples, then it would be like 150K rows or 100K rows with that PDF document. And once I feed that to fine tune, then it would give me good results. But then I want at least something to give, right? Share something to make my audience happy here. Share something from a fine tune. Done just now. Do you think it recognizes it? I don't know. Maybe I need to improve my prompt. Nope. It does not have anything.
Are
I
there
don't have
any
access to.
settings for like it won't share any private information or like company specific information that you maybe needed to turn on?
No, it's just an open source, right? So there is no such configuration which needs to be done. But I think it's like just what Murthy mentioned, right? It's just a 50 row set, and 50 row set has been. You look at this this model. I think it's like around 3 GB or 3 GB or something. And when you're just adding just 50 rows to that big data chunk, I think it's being overforced with other information, and it's yeah. Maybe with more data it would work fine, I guess.
Yeah, for maybe in next session or some of the sessions, or like if you are doing these repeated sessions, it would be nice either you run a complete model and then
Yeah.
you just pick it up during the session to show the difference, or you really take a very small example of null model compared to let's say with little more information given, then you would be able to show the difference.
Yeah.
But in any case, we understand at least.
Yeah.
Why
No, I think it's also a good yeah, good to take away. But it's good to know how this works, right? At the end of the day, for you, it doesn't really matter whether we were able to see the results or not, but the process, the approach is more important. Of course, in one of the lists, someone mentioned that this is an expensive process, right? Where is that? So this is definitely an expensive process. It is a time-consuming process, and that could also be the reason why organizations are not ready to do this. But I think now the compute is becoming more and more cheaper, and we can run this whole night, and then it gets fine tuned, and then we could use it. But yeah, I also tried with other options as well, but my machine was not capable enough to basically do with that huge chunk of data. But what I really wanted to also show you here is, and that is where Daryl comes in, because I think he has a working example, which maybe he can share in a bit for us so that we can really see how domain specific model works. In a minute, I'm going to also give the floor to Daryl, where you can see the working example. But my whole point of sharing this is possible, you can do it. But of course, there are compute related restrictions in my machine to share that. But how you can do it, it's possible. Just to answer the question asked by, I'm not sure, was it Prashanti, how you can publish this model, right? Now I have this fine-tuned model here, but let's say this, let's assume that this worked. Let's assume that this worked, and now I want to publish it to Hugging Face, or I want to publish it to other people. Then you can basically export the model. So these are all the checkpoints. You can see basically I've ran these only today, and you can select this, and then you can also select the checkpoint, and then you can basically export the model with a different method, uh, and then it converts it into GGUF, and that's basically the compressed format of the model. For example, if I select this guy, and then you can see the size, how much you want to compress it. For example, if you select 2.9, and if I click on export model, and this would be downloaded with 2.9 gigabytes of GGUF format, and then that can be used by someone else in their machine as their own model. Or you can also publish this in the cloud or in the Hugging Face. It's possible. Yeah. So this is basically how you can create the data sets, train the model, and export them. I'm not going to, of course, do it because I don't want to just download something this, because it wasn't that interesting. But this is what I wanted to share. But I'm going to quickly, before winding it up, I'm going to quickly share a few things. Not this guy again. Where is this one? Yeah, downloads, masterclass, PPT. Yes, don't want this one. So what I really wanted to share is real quick. We saw this, okay, so training loss, right? So training loss, it's a graph which we have seen, right? If you remember, the training loss graph was coming like this. So loss is a single number measuring how wrong the model's predictions are versus the correct answers. Okay, so a curve that steadily falls then flattens means the learning and settling, means it's actually good. That's actually a good indication that if a curve is coming down and then it's going stable, which means the learning has been Good. Okay, so these are the things which you need to watch when it comes to training loss. And then again, overfitting versus underfitting, right? You know what is underfitting model, overfitting model, but we want to be the just right. So you also need to make sure. I think this is what Murthy also mentioned, the chunking of the data, right? It also needs to be with a proper subset, right? 50 rows is nothing. Maybe it's just underfitting because it's not enough to train the model. And yeah, the quantization and the QLoRA, we kind of discussed the 4-bit versus 16-bit, right? And what is other thing? Yeah, GGUF. So GGUF is like a file format for AI models, right? Because if you looked at this, the one here, right? GGUF, because I'm exporting this into GGUF format. So it's basically a file format. It's like a JPEG for AI models, right? JPEG is an image format. GGUF is an AI model file format. And it's a compressed file with the entire model compressed to a smaller size. Okay. And what is llama.cpp? So llama.cpp is like an application which you can read the gguf file. It's like a music player. You have an mp3 file, but if you want to run the mp3 flyer, you need a music player to run that, right? So for the same gguf file, if you want to execute that model, you need llama.cpp. This is an application. This is an engine which runs the gguf file. So these two things are more important, gguf and llama.cpp. When you are working in the world of fine tuning or training a model, these two things are more important because these are the base. These two things are the standard. Okay. And what else? Okay, temperature, it's also pretty standard. You can set the temperature while you're training the data. And yeah, RAG versus fine tuning, we saw that. I think with that said, that's my time, guys. I know that there are only a few more minutes, but yeah, I'm gonna give the floor to Daryl. Daryl, take
Yeah,
charge.
that's always the challenge now, right? To see how I can keep everybody entertained after 2 hours. Let me see if I can share my screen. That's the first challenge, of course, because I'm only a participant.
Okay.
Request the host to, let me
Yeah, can
see
you
how I can
request?
do that. Oh yeah, share, allowed to share the screen. Share the entire screen.
Oh, there it is. I think we
Okay,
can
I
see your
think you
screen.
guys are seeing yourself in like perpetuate, right? Or something. Let me see if I can, can you guys see something?
Yeah, we can see the whiteboard, and
Yeah.
yeah, I can see
Okay,
your
cool.
screen.
So yeah, so first was this disclaimer, of course. I I also heard Fino mention that about his system. I only have a 60 gigabyte MacBook Pro, so I don't have a lot of RAM. So when I was sending a local model prompt, I was just saying hi. During the call, it got all the way to red, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had to drop out of the call a couple of times because there was just too much memory pressure. So I'm not sure if it's gonna crash when I perform this. I will put you guys actually on the right screen so I can at least see if you're still. How can I move you to the right? Oh, I can't. Okay, never mind. Let me just know if I drop or anything. I'll figure it out. So I presented or I prepared a slide deck or kind of like a diagram in XCaliDraw. It's 9 diagrams and I have like 6 minutes left. So I'm not sure if you guys are going to stick around past 2 o'clock, but I'll see how far I can get. And if you know, just cut me off when you think it's good, and then I'll see how I can give it a close, and then maybe we can do like a follow-up session afterwards. So the idea of this time here is actually to talk about the following. We were just discussing, oh, let me zoom in a little bit. Can I type here? Yeah, so we were just discussing like fine tuning. You guys can see this, right?
Can you make it to be full screen, because we see only half of the screen and the rest of the screen is just a
Oh
blank.
yeah, sure, no problem, no problem.
Thanks.
No problem. Can you see something now?
This is good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we were talking about fine-tuning LLMs, right? And what I actually wanted to discuss right after is the idea of also fine-tuning what we call domain-specific models. So that's what the DSM stands for, domain-specific model. And I guess I want to ask everyone first, do you know what a domain-specific model is? anybody?
So a
Good
model
I
which
can
is
see some
trained with a
hands.
domain-specific data?
Yeah, yeah. So model trained with domain-specific data. Anybody else? What do we understand? What would we say is a domain, basically? And if I would say it like this, like a domain, we're fine-tuning domain-specific models. What do you guys think a domain would be?
I think you're targeting an application or
Targeting an application. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
A
so if we
specialist?
go with that definition, sorry?
A specialist?
Yeah,
Specific
that's also good.
business.
So yeah, specialist, a specific business use case, I think you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Business use case. But yeah, these all sound like they're quite accurate in their definition. Of course, we can all Google it as well. But and I guess in for this presentation, what I would want to go with is like the specialist or a specific business use case. And then the question becomes, because that's what Vino was already hinting towards, for me, the specific business use case or the domain is what I would like to call the Bitcoin price prediction. And I think I might get some people interested now, but I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of Polymarket. Right? Anybody not heard of it?
For me, first time, Daryl.
Yes, it's
First time?
similar to the Capcoin also. So for the market, I am aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, basically it's a prediction platform. So you can kind of like place bets on certain outcomes. So you predict, for example, is Holland, the Netherlands going to win today or tonight, I guess, in the World Cup match or not? And also by how much, for example. And then you can place a bet or a prediction. And if you win versus how many orders there are in the market, like if everybody votes yes, they're going to win, then your payout is a little bit less. If everyone votes they're going to lose and you win, then you have a higher payout. That's the idea. Of course, full disclaimer, no financial advice. Polymarket is banned within the Netherlands, so I do have to say that. But it doesn't stop our use case, at least for research purposes. And what our use case was is the Bitcoin up or down market, basically. So what we want to do, as you can see, there's a timer here, and it's counting down for 1 minute and 26 seconds, 25 seconds, 24 seconds. And we are trying to predict if our closing price of this 5-minute window, if it will be higher or lower than the starting price. So as we can see right now, it's higher, right? It's like $15 higher than the closing price or starting price, sorry. And we still have a minute to go, so it can either go up or down. And you see bets are being placed. And there's an order book where you can follow all the bets. And there's then liquidity within the market. And based on that liquidity, which is kind of like the pool price, you get paid out if you have a correct prediction. So far, so good. Any questions regarding or let's say our domain? We want to train a model to predict the up or down on a 5-minute Bitcoin market.
Daryl, did you try it with gold and Brent these days as well?
Sorry, with what?
Did you try it with gold and Brent as well these days?
No. I haven't done it yet. This is a use case I've been exploring for like I think about a year. So I was just focused on this just to learn like how would it work to train your own model, etc. But I didn't go any like platform besides researching on Polymarket because obviously it's banned. So no financial advice. I cannot tell you what to do. But these are just let's say for research purposes on Polymarket. And the reason I chose the platform is because it's just and I don't want to get too much into technical detail, but I'll just write some more information here. We have the Polymarket is basically running on the Polygon blockchain. and it's kind of like what they call a smart contract. So basically just an if then else kind of conditional execution of certain let's say actions that need to be performed. So it's just an application which is running on the blockchain, and if certain conditions are met, then something else will happen. And the great thing about that is on the blockchain, basically you can use a blockchain scanner to see what is happening on the blockchain, which is kind of like a distributed ledger, to see what's happening on the blockchain at a certain point of time. So if I go and show another platform, do I need to explain this a little bit more in detail? Because how much of you can follow what I'm saying here? It's like, okay, it's a blockchain, it's a smart contract on the blockchain, which means it's an application which is running decentralized. Do you guys understand that, or do I need to go a little bit more into detail?
10%.
10%? Okay. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, that's why I was thinking the 15 minutes might not be enough, Vino, but that's fine. We learn as we go. So basically, a blockchain is just a ledger, basically, and it's just keeping record of what is happening. So you can say, for example, A happened, and then you can say B happened, which means that on a blockchain that would be AB. And then if C happens, that would become ABC. And the whole thing is that this can continue on forth. So, but you cannot, it's immutable. So the idea is that because it's immutable, it's like a single source of truth. We can all follow the blockchain and understand that, okay, the chain of events, hence the chain and the chain in the name, chain of events, for example, and it's being appended to in blocks of data. The chain of events, we can all trust that, basically. That's the idea behind a blockchain. It's a trustworthy chain of events. Nobody can change the data because, and then I will go into a little bit more of the details of how the network works, because there are, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that, but there is like the Bitcoin blockchain, for example, which is like a proof of work blockchain, which uses miners. And we can get a little bit more into that, but that's a little bit too much detail, I would say. But the main principle is that all the information that is happening on this platform, I can use the blockchain, which is a public data source. I can use that to extract that data. So then we start getting in the idea of, okay, if it's going every 5 minutes, and let's say we follow it for, let me see if I have a calculator somewhere. Applications, because I'm not really good. I'm also not good with numbers, just like to know. But let's say you have 24 hours within a day, right? And within the 24 hours, you have 60 minutes. And within the 60 minutes, that makes it 1,440 minutes a day. And if you take every 5 minutes, one market opening and closing, that means you have 288 markets a day in which you can participate in. If you follow that for a year, you would have over 100,000 markets you can participate in every year, basically. And all of that information of who placed which bets at what time for how much and how did the price move and all of that is saved on the blockchain, which also means that data is available to be consumed and used in any type of machine learning. Following me so far?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So what did I do? There's another platform also. So this Polymarket, that's more famous one. This one actually came into existence after I was actually busy with another platform. This one is called dogebets.gg for good game. Yes, I am a nerd. But basically, it's running on the Binance blockchain. And as you can see, you can follow like the bets, the round outcomes, etc. Like it's been down, down, up, etc. And you can get all this information. But what I want to show you is this information is stored on a smart contract on the Binance blockchain, which means that if I use a Binance scanner, which is a blockchain scanner, I can see all the transactions which have happened on that smart contract, as you can see here. So this is just like every round is starting, execute round. What you can see here are user or slash players performing actions. So a user bet bear, which means bear is down and bull is up. So the user thought, okay, the price will be lower at the end of 5 minutes, or if they do bull, the price will be higher. And if they win, if they're correct, they can claim their earnings. So I can also just see all of this information, 580,000 transactions happening on this specific smart contract. And I can extract that information, and then I can do some classical machine learning. So that's the idea. And then I was like, okay, why would I do the machine learning? Because I want to see if I can create an autonomous better or prediction for myself. Something that could predict, a model that could predict basically the Bitcoin price movement. And having all these data points could help, right? So what are some data points you think that is useful to have? So if I go a little bit below, so let's say I'm going to start off here. So let's say I want to predict right now, it's 16.07 hours, and I want to predict the Bitcoin price. So the starting price at this point, let's see what's the price if I go to Binance. And let's see what the Bitcoin price is at this point. So right now it's 64337.616. So I think it was 64337.16. What are some things I could use so that I can predict the price? So the new price at 16:12 hours. What do you guys think? Like, let me give an example. So if I were going to look at this platform here, and I can see, let me go to the current live market. And I can see, for example, okay, we have people who are trading up and people who are trading down. And I can follow somewhere. Let me see, can I see that? No, but I can have like a script running, which can like aggregate how many bets have there been placed on green and how many on red, right? So that gives me like market sentiment. Like I can follow the other players who are also on the platform. Market sentiment is one. What else do you think are features I could follow, for example, to predict price movement? I know it's so I'm just kind of like seeing where's your current knowledge on this. If you don't have an answer, that's also fine, and I'll just show some features I have.
Checking data.
Sorry, one more time.
I would say check previous data. Check the information from the past.
Previous data. So let's say from the last 5 or 15 minutes or hour, something like that, or you mean like days, weeks?
As far as you wish from, I would predict like the next week and.
Okay, so just also, like previous data, past data.
Yeah. Also check recent news, like what is happening right now in the world.
Yes. Recent news.
Follow President Trump.
Follow Trump. Nice.
I was about to say
I think
guys.
that would follow under social media, maybe, right? Social media sentiments.
No, specifically Trump. And you're following
only Trump, only the Trump account. Okay, follow Trump's account, X account or something. So these are all good. These are. Sorry, what?
He isn't on Twitter anymore. On Truth Socials.
Okay. He isn't on Twitter anymore. I didn't know. Okay, just follow Trump on CNN or whatever. Just follow Trump. Okay, so these are good. These are all what we would call, in this case, features. Right. So, what I want to show actually, so you're getting the idea, right? So the manual thing and this is why I'm emphasizing manual. The manual thing would be, okay, every 5 minutes. So now I'm already late. Like I have 2 more minutes, but I would need to go quickly, check market sentiment, check previous past data, like go on the blockchain or go to an aggregator who can get all that information for me. I can automate a lot of this, right? But I would still need to perform judgment on these type of things. And some of them, like previous past data, you could maybe quantize it, right? Like you can make some metrics that you can follow and have like a formula. But other things like follow Trump or recent news, those are a little bit more subjective, right? So then you would want some type of quote unquote intelligence to interpret that for you. And instead of looking that up, copy pasting whatever article Trump puts, putting it into my Claude or GPT, waiting for an answer, I thought, okay, how can I automate this workflow? So that's where the domain specific model comes in, because the domains, it's specifically trained on the Bitcoin price prediction based on certain features and other things which also affect the price. So full disclosure, I don't have a Lamborghini coming anytime soon to my home. So I'm not saying this has been successful. I'm also not saying it hasn't been successful. But I wanted to just like first walk you through the idea of what's the domain specific use case. So what's the domain? And then I wanted to discuss like how did I automate this? I do have, I think I will show one more thing, and then I will show how I talk to my model. So as you can see, of course, I'll zoom in a little bit more, right? So this is good. Maybe I'll do like full screen. Yeah, maybe it's better. Okay, so I have this OpenClaw here, right? So this is my plushie. It's pretty cool. I ordered this from a company. They make like huggable plushies out of any drawing or picture that a child creates, right? So it's really actually meant for children. But I'm a big kid, so I gave them the OpenClaw icon and they sent this to me. So that's pretty cool. But what's the idea? So OpenClaw, I think you've by now heard of it. Fino has spoken about it a few times. But basically, you can use it as an AI agent to help you do things, right? So I think same way that you showed it last time, right? OpenClaw is your personal AI assistant that actually does things. So instead of me trying to figure out how to do this Bitcoin price prediction, I used OpenClaw to help me figure it out. And how does that work? This is the architecture. And OpenClaw just runs on a gateway, which keeps it alive. So I can probably show that to you right now. If you don't know what a gateway is, then I will have to dive and explain that for another time. But this is my OpenClaw gateway, which is currently alive. And then I talk to it through Telegram. And it's just keeping the agent alive, you could say. So I can send it a message and it will respond. Oh, wait, let me go back to the XLE draw. Where is that? Right here, yes. And the whole agent runs on a cron schedule. So the whole system runs on a cron schedule, and there are several agent profiles, you could say. So I have a profile called Axel. That's my main agent I talk to. And the function for Axel is that he's the orchestrator. So he's the one who talks to the other agents, which is another profile called Pulse, and Mac, which is specifically from MacBook Pro, because this whole thing started when I was on a Windows laptop. But he just talks to the agent. I only talk to Axel. And Axel then dispatches like certain tasks to the other agents and come back to me and gives me a report, etc. So I just want to understand like what's the organization behind that. And the thing is, how did I automate the part where I do the research on to train or fine tune the domain specific model? So that part is actually at the other research loop. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know about Karpathy, Andrzej Karpathy. Have you ever heard of him? No, I hear silence, so I think not. Okay, so he's like a very, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think he works for OpenAI, but he's I think he used to work for Anthropic. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But he's
he's moved
very
to Anthropic.
He moved to Anthropic, right? Yeah. He's very in the frontier of AI research, and like he's on X and a lot of people follow him, and he's kind of like an influencer, you could say. But he came up with an idea, and that's basically give an agent a small but real LLM training setup, let it experiment autonomously overnight. It will change the code, so doing the fine tuning, right? Like training the LLM to become better at a very specific task. Train it for 5 minutes, check if the results improved, and if there's a successful experiment that moves it forward or closer to its goal, it will keep it or it will discard it and then repeat and then continue. So it's a loop where you're training or fine-tuning an LLM in this case. It's where it's going for this, but I'm using the same concept for DSM, for the specific domain use case of Bitcoin price prediction. So then I need the hypothesis first. So then I'll show how that works. So the other research, which runs every 30 minutes, it will develop first overnight. I have an R&D team of agents as well that goes and checks Trump's social media, checks news, checks macro events, etc., and forms hypotheses like, oh, okay, a lot of a whale, like a very large holder of an Ethereum account, sold all of its Ethereum. Maybe they're going to buy Bitcoin. Okay, maybe that could influence that this trajectory of today is going to be more times like price going up. So that's an hypothesis. It does that research while I'm sleeping at night. So I schedule it. I just leave my laptop on 24/7. It goes to the cron. It comes up with like going on x.com, Reddit, LinkedIn, finding everywhere. It can find some social media news, and also Binance for just like metrics, indicators, etc. And it starts forming a hypothesis for the next day. Then there's like a queue for like 25 hypotheses, you could say, with ideas and the expected value those hypotheses would return. Based on that, we'll pick up the top 3. Okay, these are some good candidates. I will run them. It will check, is it getting a better prediction or not? So if I have all that data, which I mentioned, right? Like we have a year, 2 years, 3 years of data in the past. I have now a training data set, which Vinod showed. Based on that training data set, I can say, okay, I can train myself a classical machine learning, let's say logistic regression, like a classification model to tell me, okay, is the Bitcoin price going to go up or down? And it can use that data as a part, which is training set, and the other part, which is like for testing. And it will then test its current hypothesis, like, okay, if I know I need to put the Ethereum price, because that's a whale sold all of its Ethereum, if I need to use the Ethereum price as one of the features, like another asset as one of the features to influence the Bitcoin price, what would happen to my prediction? So then I backtest. I go and check, okay, over the last 1.5 years, 2 years, will my prediction become better if I give ETH more power in predicting? Right? So we'll run that experiment. We will get a feedback. It then has an evaluation gate. So we have like, it's kind of like header tails where you have, for example, a baseline where you expect it always to be 50%, right? Like throwing 10 million times head or tails, you expect the distribution to be like 50% head, 50% tails. If it doesn't pass certain criteria, like, okay, the baseline of 50%, or another criteria might be, okay, it's highly deviating from the 200 last predictions accuracies, right? Like if it's highly deviating, like all of those criteria, if it doesn't pass it, it will reject the hypothesis. If it does pass it, it will accept the hypothesis. It will learn from it. Okay, so ETH has this much effect on the Bitcoin price. So then I can use that. I can create another loop coming back here. Of course, I will brief the CEO, right? So it's going to brief me. But I can create another loop here for my other hypothesis, right? So this will be let me zoom out a little bit. Right, so once I know what has worked, I can use that for another hypothesis the next day. And I will also brief the CEO. I'm the CEO, so the structure is I'm the CEO. I have my orchestrator, OpenClaw, which is the CSO or Chief Strategy Officer. And I have my researcher, Pulse, which is like the one who is actually doing the hypothesis and doing all the research loops. So this is the idea between automating the other research part. Is this Chinese, or are you getting it a little bit?
I think it's clear, Daryl. I'm really looking forward to make some money now. So show me the money. It's good.
Okay,
Diagram is good.
show you the money.
Show me
Yeah,
the money. Yeah.
Okay, so this is So I'll show you the money. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so we talked about evaluation gate. That's fine. We'll go through that. I think the chat I want to show. So yeah, once again, this is the how you can structure it. Like this is for if you use OpenClaw, but any other like agent framework, you can use the same. Like I have two different agents running. A hypothesis is being queued. The research runs. It's either rejected. It goes first to Axel to review, and then at 9, if it's worthy, then I'll get a brief in my Telegram, and then I can say, hey, I like this model, create a new model from it, etc., or discard it. So a couple of days ago, I spoke to Fino, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I can show a little bit of the domain-specific model as well during your chat? And he asked me, yeah, I think this is awesome, Daryl, but I want you to be able to create a chat interface. So it would be cool if you can talk to your specific model that does the price predictions. And then I mentioned, oh, okay, but I have no chat element. And he suggested I download the GPT-O SS 20 billion on this MacBook. And then as I showed you guys the picture just then, just saying hi to it broke my laptop. So I have it right now. Let me make this full screen. I sent a couple of messages while we were listening to Vino and learning about fine-tuning LLMs, but it crashed my Zoom. Like I had to get out and get back in. So I'm afraid to show this live, to be honest, just because I don't have enough RAM. Like right now it's already at 13.54, and if I just say hi again, it will go to red and then it will break everything. So trust me that this is a GPT OSS. I use Cloud Code to create it, but it's actually just a local model right now, which is connected to all the data I have. So again, the data I have is data which is publicly available. So that would be the data on the blockchain, right? The Binance blockchain or the Polymarket blockchain, like all this data which is available. But the only difference is now that I have it tied to the models that I'm using. So let me see, can I get this?
But Daryl, is it also possible that the loop gives you notifications in your Telegram? Does that work? Do you get messages in the Telegram right now? So for example, the next 5 minutes prediction, can we do it now?
Yes.
Okay.
We cannot do it right now because I'm afraid it might crash my laptop. So I will show. You can see my Finder, right? So
yeah,
I ran this I think this week, and there are some things I can show. So, but it's not currently running. So that's full disclosure. It's not currently running because I don't think I have the resources to do all of this. But I can show the following. So if I go to models, multi-asset. Here you can see I have certain models run, right? Like I have CatBoost, LightGBM. These are like the decision tree classifiers, you could say, random forest as well. And I have a logistic regression. Like these are the type of models I currently have in my library. As you can see, they've been created for a while, right? Already, right? So I've been doing this for like a year now or something. And what I want to, if I can show that, is the multi-asset tracker. And this is how it would look like if a prediction is made. So you guys can see this, right? So for example, this is one that's been made like on the 4th of May. It was predicting Bitcoin price, ETH price, Sol price, XRP, and Doge. And it has 2 different predictions. So it has entering the round after like 60 seconds before it closes or 120. And there's always a trade-off because you want to be quicker than the market, of course. Like you don't want to you want to like spot the direction before other people do, so you can get in a better price. But also, if you enter too quick, the market might do like a turnaround, and then your prediction is wrong. So I was trying to find like the sweet spot between 120 seconds and 60 seconds. And you can also see there's a strategy, there's a baseline, and there's a machine learning filter. So I always have a baseline to see if I don't use machine learning, how like would the outcome be different, and by how much, and how does that affect the confidence? And you can see there's like the open price, the entry price, etc., like the confidence it has as well, and the probability, etc. So these are how the predictions are made. And
Maybe there
then
a question.
once
So sorry
yes,
to interrupt you. So did you use any of these predictions in the real uh, do you call this trading, or what do you call this, prediction or betting, right? What do you
yeah.
call this?
So again, as I said at the beginning, Polymarket is banned within the Netherlands. So this is only for research purposes. So I cannot say if I actually use this, but let's leave it at that.
Okay. But what was let's say let's say whether you used it or not, but how much was this? In terms of accuracy, right? How much was this already being
Exactly.
closer to
Now we
that?
get to now you want to see if I can get the Lamborghini, right? So I asked the UI, which is connected to the database, to the models, etc., like a couple of questions while you were talking, and I'm afraid to ask it a live question.
Yeah.
But I will try at the end, and if I just log out, then that will be the end of my talk. But
No,
so
I
I
think
asked,
before
okay,
you
what
do
are
that,
the main?
I want to ask people who are in the call if they have any questions on this whole setup, because if you run the question, then if you're logged out, then there wouldn't be no one to answer their questions. So
Yeah.
let's take the users' questions, because looking at the time, I think
Yes.
we are good as well. I think this is an amazing use case, but do you really think this can make me rich, Daryl? That is my first question to you.
No, so
I
I'll
would
get
give
to
up
that
my
answer.
software
So
engineering job.
exactly. So I was gonna ask it. Okay, so what are all the models performing or having performed predictions? What is the model champion? What are the accuracies? And you can now see I have a model which is able to predict between 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty good,
And
actually.
you would then think, yeah, exactly. So you would think, okay, it's like it enters after 2 minutes, after a round runs, it has logistic regression. It uses 19 engineered features. I can ask it which features, but then of course, then everyone who watching this video will become super rich, right? And you can see it's accurate between 80 to 90%. Now that sounds very lucrative. The only issue is, and this is at least from my finding, is accuracy is not the bottleneck. The accuracy is not the issue. The issue that we have, let me see if I can open the price market again, is that the the moment the model is accurate, the rest of the market also reads out the same signal, which means that if I want to place an order to buy something, let's say a fill order to, hey, I want to place an order, I think it's going to go up, and I place my order to buy it at, let's say, 20 cents, which means if I'm right, it goes to $1, then my payout is five times my entry. The rest of the market also sees it at the same time, which means I can no longer, I submit my order for 20 cents, but then it's already priced in at 50 cents or 90%, right? Like the higher the price is, that means they're already confident that it will go that direction. So if I place an order for 20 cents, but the market can only sell it to me at 95%, it will reject my order. It will say, hey, this is not the market price. Why are you trying to buy something cheap? So the execution is the issue. So even though you are right, you are not on time to place your order to enter the market. And because you're not on time, because everyone else sees right now, for example, we have 33 seconds. People are convinced with $83 that this is not going to go up anymore. But if you place an order right now to buy down at 20 cents, it will not fulfill because the price is now 99 cents. Right? So but if you do place it at 1 and it all of a sudden goes up, you have 100x your investment or the trade. Yeah. So that's the idea. So the model notices too late what the direction is because the rest of the market sees it as well. And that's a typical sign of market efficiency. Then the true money is made, if you want to really make money, when you can have this accuracy, but also not 120 seconds into the 5-minute market. But let's say you're only 10 seconds in, or you can skip, you can do predictions not 3 minutes before closing time, but 30 minutes, right? So if you can have more time between when you need to be right and when you make the prediction, you are earlier than the market, and you have a higher chance of making money.
Okay. No, I think that's clear. That's clear. Okay. Thank you, Daryl. Because I recently have seen one of the Y Combinator's post that there is a startup who has been working on where they are provisioning agents to do the trading. So I think we're gonna pretty much see that coming as well, but not the poly market, but like the normal stock market trading. So I think that's also coming, but it's definitely totally a different way of looking at things because I wasn't even thinking in that direction that you can actually train your own open source model with the current market and then it can respond with 80% accuracy. I think that's pretty cool and amazing. I know it's also a complex topic to share, but I think you did pretty
So
well.
I was the whole time like, are you following me? But it's I've been into this for a long time already. So if I would take the time to first explain what is blockchain, then we wouldn't have the time to go through everything.
I agree. But let's say people who are in the call, if they have maybe, I think now we're already almost out of time, but if they wanted to reach out to you or have more questions or would like to have a touch base with you, they can reach out to you via LinkedIn or something, right?
Yes, you can reach out to LinkedIn. I'm also just working as an employee at the Rabobank. And I wanted to explain this, I believe, one time already within the Rabobank, within the Gen AI community. But then I went on vacation, so I might do a follow-up talk there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So with that said, thank you once again, Daryl, and also thanks everyone. If you can turn on your cameras maybe now just to say goodbye, that would be really good to see your faces. I've not seen how others look, but are there like any final goodbye questions, like anything for Daryl or for me or any reflections, remarks?
I have one, Vinod. After training a open source LLM model, right, can we integrate it into our application?
Yes, you can. I mean, once the model is done, then you can build an application on top of the model, right? Like you can build a chat application that's already there, but you can also build any other application. I mean, do you have any ideas in your mind? Which applications are you referring to?
I'm a Pega developer basically. So if I'm developing an application, then for one part of the workflow, I want to use this AI. Then how can I integrate it? Or
Yeah.
can you give me any source where I can go through? Also can help me.
Okay, so I need to check because I think Daryl mentioned already in the chat. Yeah, so you can use MCP approach. Maybe Daryl, if you can also put the link of this MCP protocol. Yeah, I think there you can actually develop a custom MCP application to this open source model or to the model which you've fine tuned, and then your application can connect through an API, and whenever you want to fetch the data, it fetches from there. Yeah, good one. Good one.
Yeah, I think that it answered my question. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Daryl. Thanks for the question, Prashanti. Are there any more questions before we wind it up?
I have a question to Daryl. By any chance, does your research is available somewhere online, or it's just only for you?
€1,000.
Yeah. No, so that's why I keep saying like officially poly market is banned, but of course you can always sell predictions as a service, right? I'm still just in the research phase, to be honest. I can obviously go more into detail in the next talk and help you develop your own system. So, but it's not something that's I'm selling or anything yet.
Yeah, I'm curious, like about I like the way that you structure the diagrams and how the agents work and discuss with each other. So you probably spent some time structurizing all of that to make all the agents just talk with each other and analyze and read. So if you have this work documented, so other people could do the same, not with Polymarket, but with any other subject.
Yes, any type of workflow, any type of other domain. Yeah, for sure. I will see if I can create a resource for that, and maybe I'll post it on my LinkedIn. Quick note as well, like I've been using OpenCloud basically as a life coach as well, right? So the whole diagrams, everything, I ask it, hey, can you use your diagrams, your Excalibur scale, create the diagrams for the stock, just like Fano asked Cloud Code to create the slides. So my OpenCloud knows everything about me, basically. And I gave it my resume, everything. So when I ask it, hey, I have this Rabobank talk coming up or something, it already knows where I'm at, what experience I have, and how I can present something to the best of my abilities, right? So in this case, it's been a trajectory of like a year or 9 months, you could say, to, I think, yeah, maybe 6 months with OpenClaw, but 9 months with the whole training Polymarket, etc., to get everything where it's up right now. So the agent does need some time to get to learn you, but you can always it can have like set like Q&As, like some way to get the LLM to understand all the data, like you fine tune it specifically to you. So you can give it some information about you, and it can create the system around your needs and your workflows.
All right, thank you.
But I will send something maybe on LinkedIn. I'll let you know.
So if you want to hack Daryl's brain, we just hack his OpenClaw setup. Then we know what he's thinking, because he's already feeding everything to his assistant.
Everything. My bank account, everything.
That's a good one. Okay, so I think with that said, thanks everyone. I know we said 2 hours. As usual, we took 30 minutes overtime, but I hope that was worth it. Worth your Sunday afternoon. Hope you learned a thing or two. But yeah, so I think, yeah, keep learning, keep sharing, and I wish you a nice evening and a good week ahead. And thanks once again for joining. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.